Hay prayed for salvation, but the Deathworlders came instead. Its people believed the world itself was kind. That belief was dying. Liara sat at the far edge of known space, a quiet place that most of the galaxy forgot. Its people were small, soft-bodied, and slow to anger. They built cities of glass and light, not walls and weapons. War was something they studied in history records, not something they prepared for. Now war had found them anyway. Elena Brooks stood on the highest balcony of the council tower and looked out over the capital city. From above, the streets still glowed with soft lights and the buildings still shimmered like crystals. But she knew what hid beneath that beauty: fear, silence, waiting. The machine ships had entered the outer system 3 weeks ago. At first, the council believed it was a mistake. Ancient probes, maybe, forgotten machines drifting without purpose, but the ships did not drift. They moved with intent. They destroyed the first listening station without a message. The second station tried to speak. It was erased in seconds. No demands, no warnings, no reply. Caleb Morgan joined Elena on the balcony. His shoulders were tense, his eyes dark with exhaustion. He had not slept well in days, and neither had she. "The outer colonies are gone," Caleb said quietly. "We just received the last signal, then nothing." Elena closed her eyes for a moment. She had expected this, yet it still hurt. Those colonies held families, children, people who trusted the council to protect them. "How long until they reach the inner worlds?" she asked. "Less than 10 days, Caleb said. "Maybe less. Their speed keeps increasing." Elena gripped the railing. "And the fleet?" Caleb did not answer right away. That silence told her everything. "We have 12 defense ships," he finally said. "Half are outdated. None were built for this." Liara's ships were patrol craft, meant to guide trade and study stars. They carried light weapons, more for warning shots than real battle. Against the machine fleet, they were fragile things. Elena let out a slow breath. "The council must meet again." "They are meeting," Caleb replied. "Right now, but it will not change much." They both knew this. The council had argued for days. Some wanted to hide, to power down cities and hope the machines passed by. Others wanted to surrender, though no one knew how to surrender to something that never spoke. And some, the oldest among them, spoke of prayer. The great hall of the council was filled when Elena entered. Leaders from every major city stood or sat in tight groups, their voices low. The air felt heavy, as if the room itself feared what would be said. Elder Jonah rose when Elena approached. His body was frail, his movements slow, but his eyes were sharp. "You have seen the reports," he said. "There is no strength left to us." Elena nodded. "Then we must ask for help." A murmur moved through the hall. Help from where? The nearby systems had already gone silent. The central galactic powers had not answered a single message. "We have asked," one counselor said. "We have begged, no one comes." Jonah lifted a hand. "Not in the way we expect." He turned toward the large star map that filled one wall. Countless systems glowed faintly. Many were marked dark now, lost or unreachable. "Long ago," Jonah said, "our ancestors believed the universe listened. That when words failed, intent still traveled. They prayed not to gods but to the stars themselves." Some counselors shifted uncomfortably. Prayer felt foolish in the face of machines that tore planets apart. Caleb spoke up. "With respect, Elder, belief will not stop fleets." Jonah looked at him calmly. "Belief alone, no. But the act of calling out without fear, without conditions, may reach places our formal signals cannot." Elena felt a strange pull at his words. Not hope exactly, but a need to try something that was not surrender. "What do you suggest?" she asked. "We send one message," Jonah said. "Not a demand, not a request for alliance, a simple call. We say we are dying. We ask for mercy. We ask for help from anyone who can hear." The hall was quiet. "And if no one answers?" Caleb asked. Jonah lowered his head. "Then we will have spoken honestly before the end." The vote was taken shortly after. It was not unanimous, but it passed. There was nothing left to lose. The broadcast station was old, built long before Liara needed to shout across the void. Its systems were still strong, its range wide. Elena stood beside the technicians as they prepared the transmission. "Open channel," she said. The technician hesitated. "To whom, counselor?" Elena swallowed. "To everyone." The message was simple. There were no codes, no politics, no threats. "This is Liara. We are under attack. We do not know why. We cannot defend ourselves. If anyone hears this, we ask for help. If you cannot help, remember us." When the message was sent, the room felt empty. Days passed. The machine fleet moved closer. Cities began to evacuate underground. Food stores were sealed. Families held each other in the dark, listening to the distant hum of planetary shields. No answer came. Some said the prayer had been foolish. Others said the galaxy was cruel. Many said nothing at all. On the 7th day after the broadcast, Alina stood again on the balcony. The sky was darker now, filled with distant shapes that blocked the stars. The machines had reached the inner system. Caleb joined her, his face pale. They have begun harvesting the outer moons. Alina nodded. She had expected this too. Did anyone respond? Caleb asked, though he already knew. No, she said. They stood together in silence. Far beyond Layara, in a region of space marked only by numbers and warnings, a small human listening post rotated slowly in the dark. Inside, rows of screens flickered with static and data. Most signals were noise, echoes of ancient transmissions, cosmic interference. Then one signal cut through. It was weak, emotional, unencrypted. A young technician named Ben Carter frowned as the data scrolled. That's strange. His supervisor, Lisa Grant, looked over. What is it? A distress call, Ben said, but not like any I've seen. No formal structure. It sounds like a plea. Lisa listened as the translated words filled the room. Her expression changed. Route this to command, she said. Now. As the message traveled deeper into human space, Alina Brooks watched the sky of Layara and believed that their prayer had vanished into nothing. She did not know that someone had heard. She did not know that the ones who heard were not angels. And she did not know that what was coming would be far more terrifying than silence far away from Layara, on Earth. The message arrived without warning. In a quiet room filled with screens and blinking lights, analyst Nina Cole leaned forward, her fingers hovering over a keyboard. The signal was strange, raw, emotional, desperate. It did not have codes, standard headers, or identification. It was simply a plea. This can't be ignored, she said to her supervisor, Commander Lucas Hart. He had been in charge of the Deep Space Monitoring Station for nearly 10 years, and he had seen strange signals before, but nothing like this. It came from the edge of mapped space, Lucas said. He rubbed his temples. And the energy signature, it isn't natural, it's intelligent. Nina nodded. They are asking for help. They are dying, Commander, whoever they are. Lucas stared at the screen. He knew this could change everything. Earth rarely interfered in galactic affairs, and humanity's reputation was complicated. For decades, humans were known as Deathworlders, survivors of extreme environments hardened by wars and harsh planets. Many civilizations feared them. Few trusted them. Do we alert Central Command? Lucas asked. They have to know, Nina replied. But this isn't a normal rescue mission. They are terrified, and if we wait too long, they will be gone. In the council chamber on Earth, the leaders debated in tense voices. Ambassador Simon Ellis, a tall man with gray hair, argued against interference. We have treaties, Simon said. We cannot involve ourselves in every small world conflict. We must be cautious. Our intervention could provoke more enemies. Lieutenant Carla Ross leaned forward. With respect, sir, this is not politics. This is a life, or rather many lives. We have the technology, the skill, and the experience. We can act. Another counselor, Robert May, shook his head. We have no idea what they face. It could be a trap. It could be a species that uses emotions to manipulate us. We must be careful. Lucas listened quietly, weighing their words. He had seen too much suffering to let fear stop action. He spoke slowly, clearly, with a voice that carried authority. The message is real. The species is at the edge of destruction. If we do nothing, they will die. I say we respond. We do not negotiate. We do not offer diplomacy. We go prepared. Silence filled the chamber. Then Nina added, Prepared how? Prepared for war, Lucas said. His eyes were steady. The galaxy may have forgotten them, but we have not. If the worst comes, we will survive where others fail. We have survived before. We will survive again. The council paused. The decision was made. A fleet would depart. Not diplomats, not scholars, soldiers, and veterans. Humans who had walked the deserts of harsh planets, survived storms that would crush normal species, endured hunger and pain beyond imagination. In the hangars, ships of every size and purpose were prepared. Hulls were reinforced, weapons calibrated. Teams drilled for boarding, evacuation, and planetary defense. The humans moved with precision, knowing that their reputation was as much a weapon as their firepower. Nina joined Captain Jason Clark in the control room of the lead ship. He was a tall, solid man, his uniform crisp and perfect, though his eyes showed the strain of command. Our target system is lightly mapped, Jason said. We have sensors, but we do not know the enemy. Intelligence is limited. We don't need to know them, Nina said. We only need to know what they are doing, attacking weak species. That is enough. Jason nodded slowly. We will protect them, but I want everyone ready. This will not be a simple mission. The locals may be frightened. The enemy may be stronger than expected. And if they are? Nina asked. Then we fight, Jason said. That is what we do. The humans did not travel light. Supplies, weapons, and heavy armor filled the ships. Drones for reconnaissance floated silently in the dark, scanning for signs of the approaching machine fleet. Engineers checked every system. Soldiers trained under artificial gravity, learning to adapt to extreme combat conditions. Nothing was left to chance. Back on Liara, Alina and Caleb waited, unaware that someone had heard their plea. The sky had grown darker, filled with small flickers of distant objects moving fast. The people of Liara had begun to wonder if the universe had truly abandoned them. On Earth, the fleet crossed star systems in silence. Communication channels were mostly closed to prevent leaks. Only essential information passed between ships. Humans had learned that silence could be as powerful as speech, especially when fear traveled faster than words. In the bridge of the lead ship, Jason Clark observed the approaching system. His sensors picked up Liara's cities and the outer defenses, weak and minimal. He studied the terrain. Mountains, rivers, and the delicate crystal cities that humans would never dare to build for themselves. The world was fragile, beautiful, and in danger. Prepare for orbit, Jason said. We need to make contact carefully. We cannot frighten them more than they already are. Nina watched the planet grow larger on the screen. Do you think they understand who we are? They will soon, Jason said. And when they do, it may terrify them, but it will save them. The first communication attempt was cautious. A soft voice, human, calm, and measured, called out to Liara's surface. This is Captain Jason Clark of the human fleet. We have received your distress call. We are here to help. Do not be afraid. In Liara, Alina heard the voice for the first time. Her heart leapt. A voice not from the machines, not a command. A voice that carried presence, strength, and calm. She rushed to the balcony with Caleb. They came, she whispered. Who? Caleb asked. He did not understand yet. Someone different, Alina said. Someone strong. Nina monitored the response. Sensors picked up movement on the planet's surface. The locals were emerging from shelters, cautious but curious. Their eyes scanned the sky. Some fell to their knees. Others simply stared, afraid to hope. Jason spoke again, careful not to overwhelm. We will not harm you. We will protect you from the machines. Prepare to receive boarding teams if necessary. The humans' ships descended into orbit slowly. Their size was intimidating, their design unlike anything Liara had ever seen. Thick hulls, dark metal, angular shapes. Weapons lined the sides, though none were fired. Their presence alone spoke of power and capability. On the surface, Alina felt a mix of fear and relief. She turned to Caleb. They are not like us, they will fight for us. Caleb nodded slowly. Then maybe we will survive. For days, the humans studied Liara from orbit, learning the defenses, the cities, the patterns of life. They did not rush. They did not demand obedience. They prepared. Far from the battle, engineers aboard human ships examined the incoming machine fleet. The numbers were larger than expected. Designs were precise, weapons deadly, movement coordinated. Humans called them the machine swarm. They were nothing like Liara's gentle people, and yet the humans smiled quietly. We expected this, Jason said. It will be dangerous, it will be ugly, but we are ready. Soldiers trained further. Teams drilled for boarding the machines, disabling weapons, and extracting Laerons if needed. Humans had fought in environments that would crush normal bodies. The cold, the heat, the vacuum, the storms, nothing was new. The lessons of harsh worlds had made them strong. They would use everything they had. Nina looked at the screens and then at Jason. They might be terrified of us, Laerons. Their minds may not understand our ways. Jason nodded. Let them be terrified, it will save them. Fear is temporary, survival is forever. In Liara, news spread slowly. Whispers grew among the people, the voice in the sky, the ships, humans coming to save them. Hope began to emerge, fragile but undeniable. Parents held children closer, workers paused in the streets. The city stopped just for a moment to notice that the end might not come. But the machines were not waiting. They advanced relentlessly, consuming outer moons, scanning planets, tearing apart defenses. Liara's people watched helplessly. Their prayers had been answered in a way they could not yet understand. Jason Clark prepared his fleet. "We strike only when necessary," he said. "First, observation. Second, protection. Third, counterattack. The locals will survive. The machines will not." Nina smiled faintly. "We are their salvation, whether they understand it or not." On Layara, Elena stood on the balcony again, staring at the darkening sky. She did not know what humans truly were. She did not know their past. She only knew that the voice had come. She did not know that survival had arrived dressed in terror and strength. And somewhere in the silent vastness of space, humanity moved closer. Not as angels, not as gentle gods, but as monsters shaped by harsh worlds, trained to endure and ready to protect. Elena whispered a small prayer, not knowing if anyone heard. "Thank you, whoever you are." And the humans answered, not with words, but with presence. The edge of Layara's system grew hotter with movement. Human ships prepared, sensors scanned, and the first signs of strategy unfolded. The galaxy had forgotten the planet, but humans had not. The Deathworlders were coming. And the machines would soon discover why humanity's reputation was feared, whispered, and respected across the stars. Layara's people were about to learn that salvation came in forms they could not imagine, and that sometimes the most terrifying beings were the ones who fought to protect. Nina, Jason, and the fleet watched the approaching system, ready to act, knowing that what came next would decide not only Layara's fate, but the galaxy's understanding of humanity. The first encounter was imminent. And there would be no turning back. The machines moved faster than anyone expected. Layara's people watched in growing fear as the first of the outer moons was destroyed, torn apart with mechanical precision. The sound reached them only as vibrations through the ground, because their world was too far from the noise to hear the true roar of engines and weapons. Elena Brooks ran through the city streets with Caleb Morgan beside her. Families were moving underground, carrying what they could. Lights glimmered in windows, children cried quietly, and the air smelled faintly of burning metal from the outer stations. "They are coming closer," Caleb said, his voice tight with fear. "We have to trust them," Elena said, though her stomach twisted. She pointed to the sky where tiny specks moved, slowly growing larger. "They are here. We can see them." Above, human ships glided into orbit. They were massive, dark, and strong, far larger than Layara's defense fleet could imagine. Thick hulls glimmered under the planet's sun. Weapons were clearly visible along the sides of the ships, but they remained silent. The humans made no sudden movements. They did not attack. They did not demand submission. They only watched, waiting. "Look at them," Elena whispered. She had never seen anything like it. "They are enormous." "They will help," Caleb said. He did not sound fully convinced, but he wanted to believe. The first human communication came again, calm and firm. Captain Jason Clark's voice echoed from the ships above. "Layarans, we are here to protect you. Do not attempt to fight. Stay in your cities or underground shelters. We will engage the enemy. Follow instructions and you will survive." Many Layarans fell to their knees, overwhelmed by relief. Some screamed in fear at the sight of the massive ships. The children hid behind parents, eyes wide, trying to understand if these beings were friends or another form of destruction. Elena ran to the main tower's observation deck. She pressed her hands against the glass and watched as human soldiers moved along the decks of the ships, preparing for what would come. They were not dressed in the soft fabrics of Layarans. Their armor was dark, thick, and scarred from past battles. Their faces were tense but calm. They moved with purpose. "What are they?" one young worker asked. He had followed Elena upstairs. "They are human," Elena replied, "and they are here to fight for us." The first skirmish began at the edge of the system. Sensors picked up the machines advancing toward Layara. Their designs were strange, sleek, deadly, and precise. They moved in patterns that suggested coordination, intelligence, and no hesitation. They were not like any living species Layarans had studied. Jason Clark ordered his fleet into formation. The ships moved like shadows across the stars, positioning themselves between the machines and Layara. Drones flew ahead to scout and map enemy positions. Human pilots maneuvered their craft with precision, adjusting speed and trajectory to account for gravitational pulls and planetary defense systems. "They will not touch the cities," Jason said to Nina Cole, who monitored the battle from the bridge. "They underestimate humans." "They think fear will stop us. It will not," Nina nodded. "Layarans do not understand how strong you are or how dangerous." "They will soon," Jason said. On the surface, Laerons watched the battle from underground shelters and windows. Alina and Caleb stayed at the observation tower, glued to the screens and views. The first wave of machines approached, moving in straight lines, weapons charging. Laerons froze, expecting death to come suddenly. Then the humans struck. Without warning, human ships launched attacks. It was not reckless fire. It was precision destruction. Kinetic strikes tore machines apart before they reached Liara's orbit. Human drones disabled weapon systems, sending control signals that confused and disoriented the enemy. Soldiers boarded enemy vessels using small assault ships, their actions surgical and terrifying. Laerons could not understand what they saw. Humans were fast, brutal, and fearless. Ships that had seemed invincible were ripped apart by the humans' boarding teams. Metal tore metal. Energy pulses from human weapons disabled enemy circuits instantly. Soldiers fought in environments that would kill normal species in seconds. "They are monsters," one Laeron whispered, "but they are saving us." Alina held her head in disbelief. "They are not angels," she said quietly, "but they are protecting us." Caleb nodded slowly. "Maybe that is better." Human soldiers moved through space like shadows. Boarding teams of Ryan Cole and Mia Turner, veterans of countless Deathworlds, infiltrated enemy ships. They moved quickly, silently, dismantling critical systems. Laerons watched from orbit monitors, unable to comprehend the fearlessness and strength of these beings. Machines retaliated, firing weapons, but human ships absorbed the attacks. Shields and hulls held firm. Counterattacks were precise, calculated. Humans did not waste energy. Every strike had a purpose: survival, protection, victory. Nina and other analysts coordinated attacks from the fleet's bridge. They tracked enemy movements, calculated vectors, and relayed orders to human pilots. The humans were efficient, coordinated, and terrifying. "The machines do not expect this," Jason said, his voice calm but tense. "They think fear will stop us. It will not. They do not understand how humans fight." On Liara, citizens began to whisper the word monsters, not as insult but as awe. These humans were unlike anything they had imagined. Large, strong, fearless, and unafraid of death. They moved through space and enemy ships with a precision that Laerons could not understand. Alina turned to Caleb. "They are beautiful in a way," she said. "They are saving us with everything they are. They are terrifying, but they are protecting us." Caleb shivered. "I hope we never have to fight like that, but maybe we are learning what survival means." The battle continued for hours. Outer moons were reclaimed, enemy ships dismantled, and Liara's orbit stabilized, yet the machines adapted. They repaired what humans had damaged, launched attacks in new patterns, and pressed forward with relentless determination. Jason Clark studied their movements carefully. "They are intelligent," he said. "They learn from every strike. We must be faster, stronger, smarter." Humans responded immediately. Tactics changed in real time. Boarding teams adjusted approach vectors, energy weapons were recalibrated mid-battle, drones attacked weak points discovered moments before. Every human knew that hesitation meant failure, and they did not hesitate. Laerons watched as humans sacrificed small ships, losing them intentionally to draw enemy fire and create openings. The locals gasped in horror and relief. Humans did not care for small losses if it meant the enemy could be stopped. They fought with logic, strategy, and a fearlessness that Laerons could not imagine. "They will win," Alina whispered. "But at what cost?" Caleb looked at the screens. "Their cost is theirs," he said. "Our cost would have been everything." Finally, after long hours, the machines began to retreat, broken and confused. Their formations dissolved, their weapons offline, their numbers diminished. Human ships did not give chase immediately. They watched, calculated, ensured the threat was neutralized before moving to Liara's surface. Laerons emerged slowly from shelters. They looked at the humans in orbit, their massive ships, their terrifying presence, and realized survival had come in a form they could not have imagined. Alina turned to Caleb. "They did not come as angels," she said. "They came as monsters, but monsters who save." Jason Clark prepared landing teams. Smaller human ships descended carefully, avoiding structures and crowds. Soldiers in armor moved down ladders and ramps. Humans carried weapons, tools, and medical supplies, but they also carried authority. Their presence commanded respect, even fear. Nina watched from orbit. "Laerons are terrified," she said, "but they are alive. Fear is temporary, Jason said. Survival is forever. On the surface, Alina approached the first human soldiers. Ryan Cole and Mia Turner stepped forward, weapons lowered. Ryan's armor bore scars from battles Laerons could not comprehend. Mia's eyes were calm but sharp, scanning the surroundings. "We are here to protect you," Ryan said, his voice deep, strong, yet not cruel. "Follow our instructions and you will survive. Stay close, stay calm." Laerons nodded slowly. Some fell to their knees, others could barely speak. Children clung to parents. Adults held each other, realizing that they had never felt such a mixture of fear and hope at the same time. Caleb whispered to Alina, "They are human, but not like anyone we know. They are Deathworlders." Alina nodded, understanding. Humanity had survived terrible worlds. Humanity had learned to fight, to endure, to protect at any cost. And now, those skills were saving Liara. The first humans moved to secure the cities, establish perimeter defenses, and organize the people. They did not waste words. Their actions were precise, their presence enough to change the course of fear into survival. Laerons began to realize something important. Salvation did not come gently. It came as strength, as discipline, as a force they could not oppose. Humans did not promise mercy. Humans delivered survival. And for the first time in weeks, Laerons allowed themselves to hope. But they also understood that their galaxy would never see humans the same way again. The stories of gentle planets and small people would be replaced with tales of monsters who saved, humans who fought like gods and moved like shadows, humans who carried the power to change life and death itself. Above, Jason Clark and Nina Cole prepared for the next phase. The machines were not gone. They would return, rebuild, adapt. But humans had learned their patterns. Humans would strike harder, faster, and without hesitation. Laerons watched as the first humans moved through the city, helping, protecting, and organizing. They were terrifying. They were magnificent. They were monsters who saved the weak, and for Liara, that was enough. The machines would learn soon enough that the galaxy's stories about humanity were not exaggeration. Humans survived where others failed. Humans fought where others fled. Humans saved where others abandoned. And when the Deathworlders came, the end was never the end. Laerons whispered there thanks to the sky, though they did not know who truly deserved it. The humans did not answer prayers. They answered with action, with power, with life itself. Alina and Caleb watched the humans prepare for the next wave of attack. Their hearts were heavy with fear and relief, but they understood one thing clearly. Survival had come in the form of monsters, and monsters had come to stay. The machines were relentless. After the initial defeat, they repaired, reassembled, and advanced again, this time with more force. Their numbers were greater, their weapons sharper, and their coordination even more precise. Laerons watched in fear as the distant shapes of the fleet darkened the skies, moving closer with deadly intent. Alina Brooks and Caleb Morgan stayed in the observation tower. The streets below were quieter now, people having learned to move calmly under human guidance. Still, the tension in the city was thick. Every flicker of shadow or movement in the sky made hearts race. "They will not stop," Caleb said, his hands gripping the railing. "Even if humans fight, the machines will keep coming." Alina nodded, though she tried to hold on to the hope the humans had brought. "Then we will see what they can do." Above Liara, the human fleet organized into tight formations. Captain Jason Clark directed ships with calm precision. Every vessel had a role. Scouts flew ahead, mapping enemy movements. Heavy attack ships positioned to absorb enemy fire. Boarding teams readied themselves for the real test, the enemy fleet itself. "They do not expect humans to fight like this," Jason said to Lieutenant Nina Cole. "The machines think fear will stop us. It will not. They do not understand how humans survive." "And the locals?" Nina asked. "They still look terrified." "Fear is temporary," Jason said. "Survival is forever. They will understand soon enough." The first wave of the machine fleet reached Liara's outer orbit. They fired weapons at human drones, testing defenses. Humans responded instantly. Energy shields flared, absorbing impacts. Counterattacks disabled the enemy's targeting systems. Small boarding ships detached from the fleet and moved with silent speed toward the larger enemy vessels. On the surface, Laerons watched screens that showed pieces of the battle. They could not fully comprehend what was happening, but they saw humans moving without hesitation, striking without mercy, surviving in conditions that should have killed them. "They are monsters," a citizen whispered, fear and awe mixing in their voice. Alina stood beside Caleb. Yes, she said quietly, but monsters who save us. Human boarding teams moved with frightening efficiency. Soldiers like Ryan Cole and Mia Turner infiltrated machine vessels. Their armor resisted extreme heat and pressure. Their weapons cut through metal effortlessly. They moved silently, dismantling critical systems, disconnecting weapons, and taking control of enemy ships piece by piece. Laerons could not imagine such fearlessness. They had always avoided danger, studied it, or fled from it. Humans faced it directly with no hesitation. Why don't they fear death? A Laeron asked. Alina shook her head. Because they are trained on worlds where death is constant, they survive what we cannot, and they fight to protect not just themselves. The machines adapted quickly. Their patterns changed. Weapons recalibrated, defenses strengthened, yet humans were faster. They struck where the machines were weakest. They coordinated attacks across multiple ships, striking in perfect timing like a single organism with countless limbs. In orbit, Jason Clark watched a machine vessel rise, towering above smaller ships. It fired, tearing a hole in one of the scouts. The explosion was violent, metal scattering, yet the humans did not panic. Another ship immediately moved into position, absorbing the fire while drones hacked the enemy systems. "They will not get past us," Jason said calmly. "Not today." On Liara, civilians began to whisper stories of the humans' bravery. They told of boarding teams appearing inside enemy vessels, of humans surviving extreme heat and crushing metal, of soldiers moving through fire and explosions without hesitation. The word monsters became a term of respect. Alina and Caleb moved to help coordinate shelters and supply distribution. Humans had established secure zones, and Laerons learned to follow their instructions. Small tasks, moving food, guiding children, maintaining shelters, felt like small victories in the shadow of the battle above. In space, the battle intensified. Human ships launched kinetic strikes, tearing through enemy hulls. Boarding teams moved in waves, disabling weapon systems. Every human knew the risks. Small craft were sometimes destroyed intentionally to draw enemy fire, creating openings for stronger attacks. Humans did not hesitate. Every action had a purpose. "They are unafraid," Nina said, watching the screens. "They do not hesitate even when it means sacrifice." "That is humanity," Jason said. "We survive by fighting where others flee, we endure what others cannot, and we protect those who cannot protect themselves." Machines retaliated fiercely. Large cannons fired at human ships, energy blasts tearing through the vacuum, yet human shields held. Hulls resisted impacts that would destroy most species. Human pilots adapted instantly, changing course, dodging attacks, and striking back at weak points in the enemy fleet. Laerons watched, unable to look away. Some prayed silently. Others simply held their breath, amazed at what humans could do. "How can they survive that?" one citizen asked. "Because humans are not normal," Alina said softly. "They are shaped by harsh worlds, trained for survival, and willing to fight with everything they have." Boardings continued. Ryan Cole led a team onto a massive enemy vessel. They moved through corridors filled with fire and smoke, dismantling weapons, cutting control lines, and leaving nothing to chance. Mia Turner followed a parallel route, disabling energy cores that powered enemy defenses. Humans adapted quickly to changes, using intelligence and instinct. Laerons could only watch. They did not fully understand what they saw, but they felt safety in humans' presence. The machines could destroy, but humans could survive and strike back. Humans could endure. Humans could save. In orbit, Jason Clark ordered a major assault on the central machine formation. Massive human ships fired coordinated strikes. Drones disabled systems, while boarding teams infiltrated from multiple points. Explosions tore holes in the enemy fleet, but humans moved with terrifying precision, ensuring minimal risk to Liara below. "They are incredible," Nina said. "They are unstoppable." "They are humans," Jason said simply. "And we fight to survive and protect, that is all." Laerons began to see the humans differently. They were not gods nor angels. They were monsters, yes, but monsters who would risk everything to protect the weak. Children stared at screens wide-eyed. Parents held them close, whispering that survival had arrived in a form they could not have imagined. Alina whispered to Caleb, "They are saving us by being exactly what they are, terrifying, strong, unstoppable." Caleb nodded. Then maybe the universe did answer our prayer, just not the way we expected. Hours passed. The machine fleet was damaged, scattered, and confused. They tried to regroup, but human tactics were relentless. Ships that humans could not board were destroyed from orbit with precision strikes. Weak points were exploited, systems disabled, and remaining forces forced to retreat temporarily. Laerons began to cheer quietly, though fear still lingered. They had survived the first full-scale attack. The humans had fought not like any species they knew, but like creatures who understood life and death in a way they never could. "They do not fight for glory," Alina said to Caleb. "They fight because survival matters. Because saving us matters. And we are alive because of them," Caleb replied. "We are still here because they are monsters who care." Humans on the ground and in orbit began preparations for the next wave. Engineers repaired ships, soldiers trained for boarding, pilots studied enemy patterns. Humans expected the machines to return stronger, smarter. Humans prepared to meet that challenge with the same terrifying determination they had used so far. Laerons began to understand one thing clearly: humans did not promise mercy. Humans delivered survival, and when humans fought, the galaxy witnessed something unlike anything else. Alina and Caleb watched as small human ships moved to secure outer cities, establish defensive positions, and organize Laerons. The humans did not speak much, but their actions were enough. Their presence alone instilled confidence and fear simultaneously. The skies above Layara grew bright with energy weapons, explosions, and the relentless advance of humans and machines alike. Yet, for the first time in weeks, Laerons felt something they had not felt before: hope. Real hope born from fear, shaped by strength, and carried by beings who refused to die in the face of impossible odds. "They are monsters who protect," a citizen whispered. "And that is enough," Alina said softly. She looked at Caleb. "Enough to survive." Jason Clark watched the battlefield unfold. "We will not stop," he said to Nina. "We fight until Layara survives. We strike until the enemy understands that humans do not surrender." Nina nodded. "And the locals will remember this forever." "They will remember survival," Jason said. "Not mercy, not angels, survival." The humans moved with quiet precision. Every attack, every strike, every boarding was calculated, yet every human also carried courage beyond imagination. The battle for Layara had become a demonstration of humanity's terrifying, unstoppable will to protect life. Laerons began to whisper their thanks to the humans. They did not understand fully who they were. They only understood this: humans had arrived as monsters, fought as monsters, and in doing so, saved them all. And above, the machines retreated, broken, disoriented, and humbled. Humans had shown what survival truly meant. The edge of Layara's system was safe, for now. Laerons could breathe, not fully but enough to understand that their galaxy had changed. Salvation had arrived, not gentle and kind, but terrifying, unyielding, and human. Alina whispered a small prayer to the sky, her heart heavy with fear and hope. "Thank you, monsters." And in the shadows of space, the humans prepared, ready for the next strike, ready to endure, ready to fight. The Deathworlders had shown their strength, and the machines would never forget it. Survival was here. Terrifying, unstoppable, and human, the machines retreated, but Layara's people did not relax completely. Above them, the human fleet remained in orbit, scanning, ready, and silent. The battle was not yet over. There could be no mistakes. The machines were dangerous, intelligent, and relentless. Humans knew this better than anyone. Alina Brooks and Caleb Morgan walked through the streets of the capital city. The surface was damaged in some places. Minor fires burned. Buildings had scratches from debris, but the city was mostly intact. Humans had directed Laerons to move carefully, stay in secure zones, and avoid panic. The people began to understand how effective these monsters really were. "I never thought I would see such power," Alina said quietly. "They are frightening, but they saved us." Caleb nodded. "I know, and we are alive because of them. That is all that matters." Human teams moved through the city, helping Laerons rebuild temporary shelters, distribute supplies, and organize defenses. Soldiers carried materials, healed the wounded, and trained locals in basic safety and survival. Laerons watched, amazed. Humans were not gentle, but they were thorough. Humans did not explain much. They acted, and that action spoke louder than words. "They do not promise peace," a Laeron whispered to another. "They promise survival." Alina listened. "And that is enough." In orbit, Captain Jason Clark and his crew studied the machine fleet's movements. Although the machines had retreated, they would return. Humans prepared strategies for the next encounter. Boarding teams practiced, drones scanned, and heavy ships held positions, ready to strike at any sign of attack. "They will not come quietly," Jason said to Nina Cole. "We must remain ready. Layara's people are fragile, but we are not." "How long will they wait?" Nina asked. "Long enough to underestimate us," Jason said. "That is when we will strike hardest." On the surface, Laerons began to emerge from their shelters more freely. They walked the streets under human guidance. Small children ran carefully alongside soldiers. Adults carried supplies and helped rebuild damaged areas. The humans gave clear, simple instructions, and Laerons followed. Trust was growing slowly, born from fear and awe. "I never thought we would see such courage," Caleb said to Alina. "Even standing still, humans command presence. Moving, they are unstoppable." "And that is why we survive," Alina replied. Hours later, the first scouting drones detected the returning machine fleet. The humans had anticipated this. Jason ordered immediate formation. The fleet moved into positions with perfect timing, cutting off likely attack routes, preparing defensive and offensive lines simultaneously. "They think they can return and scare us," Jason said calmly. "But humans do not fear, we act." Small attack ships launched, heading straight for the incoming machines. Energy blasts disabled their weapon systems before they could fire. Boarding teams moved silently, striking at control centers. Every movement was calculated, precise, and terrifyingly effective. Laerons watched screens showing the humans moving through enemy ships. Humans ran through corridors filled with smoke, fire, and dangerous machinery. They dismantled weapons, shut down energy cores, and fought with precision that seemed impossible. "They are monsters," one Laeron said, "and yet we live because of them." Alina whispered, "Yes, monsters who save." The machines tried to adapt, but humans were faster. Sensors predicted enemy movements. Drones countered attacks. Humans coordinated strikes across multiple ships. The machines were powerful, but humans were relentless. Every plan was met with a better response. Every attack was met with a stronger counter. On Layara, civilians moved cautiously, guided by humans. They carried supplies, helped heal the wounded, and maintained shelters. They could see humans working alongside them, fighting above them, and knew survival depended on these terrifying allies. "They do not fight for themselves," Caleb said. "They fight for us." "And we are alive because of them," Alina replied. "Nothing else matters." The battle continued for hours. Explosions lit space like bright stars. Energy pulses and kinetic strikes tore through enemy hulls. Human boarding teams infiltrated dozens of vessels at once. The machines were intelligent, adaptive, and unyielding, but humans were smarter, faster, and stronger. Every human acted with purpose. Every strike had a meaning. Laerons could not comprehend it, but they saw results. They saw ships destroyed, attacks stopped, and their cities safe. Fear remained, but it was mixed with awe and gratitude. Humans had saved them, and the humans had done it in a way that Laerons could not fully understand. Finally, the machine fleet began to retreat. Damaged, disorganized, and demoralized, they moved away from Layara. Humans pursued cautiously, ensuring the enemy could not return easily. Orbit cleared, and humans turned attention to Layara's surface. Alina and Caleb watched as humans moved through the city. Soldiers directed rebuilding, trained citizens, and helped the injured. They did not speak much, but every action was deliberate. Laerons began to whisper the word monsters, not as insult, but in respect and awe. "They are terrifying," Alina said, "but they saved us. We would have died without them." "And that is enough," Caleb replied. Later, humans gathered Laerons in secure areas. Captain Jason Clark spoke from a central platform. His voice was calm, strong, and commanding. "Your world is safe for now," he said. "We will remain until all immediate threats are neutralized. Follow our instructions, work with us. You will survive." Laerons listened, some still afraid, others in awe. They had never seen beings fight with such precision, survive such danger, or act so decisively. Humans had not promised salvation, they had delivered it through action. "They are not angels," one citizen whispered. "They are stronger, they are monsters who protect." Alina nodded. "And they are exactly what we needed." Over the next days, humans helped Layara rebuild and prepare for future attacks. They trained locals in basic defensive strategies, organized supply lines, and set up secure zones. Their presence was constant but not overbearing. They moved silently, efficiently, and always with purpose. Laerons began to understand one thing clearly. Humans did not fight for glory. Humans fought because they could survive, because they could endure, and because they would protect those who could not protect themselves. The galaxy had feared humanity as Deathworlders, and now Liara understood why. "We will never forget this," Caleb said. "Not their appearance, not their strength, not their courage. We will remember that survival came because of them." "And we will tell the others," Alina said. "The galaxy will know. Humans fight in ways no one else can. Humans save in ways no one else can. And humans do not stop." Finally, after weeks of preparation and observation, humans prepared to leave Liara. The machine threat was temporarily neutralized, and Laerons were stable. They had learned to follow instructions, move safely, and survive under guidance. "Are they leaving?" a child asked, holding their parent's hand. Alina nodded. "Yes, but they will remain in your hearts. You survived because of them, remember that." Humans boarded their ships silently. Soldiers returned to the fleet. Engineers completed final checks. Drones surveyed the system. Captain Jason Clark gave one last order before departure. "Liara is safe. Remain vigilant. Remember that humans do not surrender. Remember that humans fight to protect." As the fleet moved away, Laerons watched. Fear and awe mixed with relief and gratitude. They had not prayed to gods. They had not called for angels. They had called for help, and humans, monsters shaped by harsh worlds, had answered. Alina looked at the sky, now clear and calm. "We are alive," she whispered. "Because of them, because of monsters who save." Caleb squeezed her hand. "And we will survive. We know what survival is now." On Earth, Captain Jason Clark and Nina Cole reviewed the mission. Humans had fought with precision, skill, and terrifying strength. Laerons survived, and the galaxy had a new understanding of humanity's power. Humans did not wait for prayers to be answered. Humans acted, and that action, terrifying as it was, ensured survival. "They will tell stories," Nina said quietly, "about humans who came as monsters and saved the helpless." "And they will be right," Jason replied. "That is who we are." In the distance, Laerons began to rebuild. Their world was fragile, but humans had given them a chance. The galaxy would remember Liara, not just as a world on the edge, but as the place where humans, monsters from Deathworlds, came, fought, and protected, showing that survival often comes in forms no one expects. And as the human fleet disappeared into the stars, Laerons whispered their thanks. Not for mercy, not for angels, but for survival. And the galaxy slowly began to understand a new truth. When Deathworlders come instead of saviors, hope is terrifying, unstoppable, and human. Laerons would never forget the monsters who saved them, and the humans would continue to move across the galaxy, feared, respected, and remembered for the strength to endure, the courage to fight, and the will to protect. Alina and Caleb watched the last ship fade into the distance. The sun reflected off the crystal buildings. The city was quiet now. Humans were gone, but their presence remained, in hearts, in lessons, and in the knowledge that survival was possible. "We are alive," Alina whispered. "Because of them," Caleb said. "Monsters who save," Alina added. The words echoed across Liara, a simple truth that would last forever. Survival had arrived, terrifying, unstoppable, and human, and the galaxy would never be the same again.